Today we're going to look at how to use the randomizer random drug testing program, give you a feel for how it works and some of the features of the software. The randomizer works on a document model, which means you'll create a spreadsheet for every group or every company that you want to test. So if you're a drug testing company and you're testing multiple clients, you'll have a master spreadsheet set up for each client, which is nice because if you're testing 200 or 300 companies, you can have a spreadsheet for each company. It's unlimited the number of groups that you can use the randomizer with. The randomizer also works well for school drug testing, for athletic program drug testing, for DOT drug testing, for in-house drug testing, or any application where you need a lottery to pick people or things at random. Now, let's go ahead and get started here, and I'll explain how it works. I'm going to, in this instance, go ahead and open Excel. If you don't have Microsoft Excel, you can use Google Docs and go ahead and create a spreadsheet in Google Docs and just export it as an Excel spreadsheet, and it'll work just fine. To use the randomizer, the first thing you want to do is create your personnel list. So you can go ahead and you can put a name in the first column. You can put in a social security number in the second column, although that's totally optional. You don't have to. And in this case, I'll just put in a shift as an identifier, but this is all optional as well. You don't have to do any of this. The idea is you have 3 columns of data you can play with, and if you have personnel lists set up for your company or a client, as they hire or fire personnel, add or delete names, you'll just always do that in your master spreadsheet for the company that you're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out because I already have one set up, my ABC company. And this is a small spreadsheet. It only has 22 names in it, but we have clients that use this program with thousands of people. So it's really unlimited as far as the number of people that you can put into a spreadsheet. If my client or my company hires a new person, I would just go ahead and add it in the spreadsheet or delete as needed. My spreadsheet is set up. After you have it set up, you want to make sure you save it as the correct file type. If you have Excel 2007 or newer, which most people do, the default setting is for an Excel workbook. You want to pull this down to 97 2003 compatible. If you don't do that, the randomizer won't find your file. So you can see in this case, I've saved this. This is my ABC company spreadsheet, and I've saved it on my desktop. So make a note of where it's at. We'll go ahead and save, and we can close out. So after we quit Excel, we're going to go ahead and start the randomizer. And depending upon the version of the randomizer you have, your screen will look something like this. This is Randomizer 2014. Once you get the randomizer open, you'll go ahead and click on Open Import. Select your spreadsheet. In this case, I'm selecting ABC Company. Click on Open, and the randomizer will bring those names into its interface. The simplest way to use this, once your names are in here, first check your list count. You can see this says 22. That's how many we had in our spreadsheet, so we know everything is lined up. This will almost always be the case, but I have seen instances where the list count doesn't match the number of names, and that's usually because there's a blank field in the spreadsheet somewhere, and you want to make sure these match so you don't get blank spaces or the randomization is thrown off. So I've checked my list count. It's 22. That's correct. And in this case, let's say, for example, I want to pick 50% of the people to test. I can click on Limit by Percent. I'll type in 50. If I wanted to limit by number and pull a specific number of people out, I would click on Limit by Number and put in the number I want to pull out. But in this case, we're going to do 50%. After we have that set up, you simply click on Randomize, and 50% of 22 is 11, so we can check here, and we can see that we have 11 names in our randomized list, so we're good to go. After you have your randomized list, you can go ahead and either print list if you want to do that, or better, save list for reporting. This will save your randomized list as a new list, and that's the best practice, because if you ever get audited by the DOT or you want to go back and look at who you've tested, this will give you a document or a record, a report of who was drawn on this given date. So in this case, I've gone ahead and saved my randomized list. And I like to use this format: random draw ABC company October, put the date in, and go ahead and save. If you're testing, let's say 4 times a year, at the end of the year you're going to have 4 spreadsheets, each one showing who you selected. So we have that done, and let's just go ahead and close out. And I'm going to open up the spreadsheet I just created, and you can see I have my 11 names in here, and these would be the 11 people that I would go out and have tested for drugs or whatever I'm doing. The nice thing about having this in a spreadsheet is after testing is done and you get a report back from the testing clinic, you can go ahead and enter results in here in Excel. So you can say, tested on November 12th, negative results. So you can go ahead and keep a record of when the person actually did go in and what the result of their testing was. And this is a good practice, especially if you're doing DOT testing as well. So let me go ahead and close out of that. And what I want to do now is show you some other features of the program. And we'll go ahead and open the randomizer again. And let me bring in our data again. So we'll do that. Okay. I want to show you some other things. In this case, we'll limit by number. We'll type in the number 5, click randomize, and we have our 5 names drawn at random. You can see this is very easy to use. The random date control is if you want to assign a random test date to each name. Now, this is totally optional. Most people don't use it, but if you had 5 people, and let's say you wanted to test each one of them at random over the next 60 days, you would just click on 60 days, add dates, and it'll give you a random date that you could send each one of these individuals in for drug or alcohol testing. That's something that some clients do if they're trying to do their testing program on sort of a surprise basis. So that's how the random date control works. The other thing that you can use the random date control for is we have clients that don't want the same person to be picked twice. And even though we don't recommend that, because once a person is tested, they know they won't be tested again, that's generally not a good practice. But if you do have a group of personnel and you don't want any one of them to be picked twice in an interval or in a year, you could go ahead and, let's go ahead and import our data. You could go ahead and randomize all of the people on the list. In this case, leave limit by percent or limit by number blank, hit randomize. That scrambles the list, and what you could do then is if this was over the next 12 months, a period of a year, you could just go ahead and click on 12 months, add dates, and this will assign a random date for each person, and that ensures that each person is being tested once, but no one's being tested more than once. And you can go ahead and just enter these dates in your calendar or save this sheet on your desktop and pay attention to the dates that someone has to go in. So that's how you can use the randomizer with the random date control to select everybody in your organization and make sure they get tested at one point during the year. So that's totally optional. And again, we can go ahead and save list for reporting, and this can be our random list date added. So very straightforward. Go ahead and correct that and save it, and that creates another spreadsheet for us. And let's see, we can go ahead and look at that, and you can see it's got our personnel with the dates. Now, the randomizer is made to be super easy to use and is made to be used with spreadsheets to make it more versatile as far as importing and exporting data is concerned. And if you have any questions about the program, you can go ahead and email us at info@randomtesting.com or call us at 419-345-7220. We'd be happy to help you out. Thank you very much and have a great day.